Alrighty, here we are. We won the die roll with Blue-Red Splinter Twin. I'm Paul, this is Clift,
Yay.
and we have a capable hand.
Yeah, the Serum Visions help. Like, between the Serum Visions and the double remands, you're going to draw into the lands you don't currently have. And it is good, like, if you have the Deceiver or the Pestamite, you've got the Spell's Guide to protect as well, so... If you draw kind of lucky, this could be a turn 4 combo. Are we in the draw?
We are on the play. And if we draw pretty lucky, we don't have the turn 4 combo. We have a turn 4 combo with Spell's Guide backup.
Yeah.
Against an unknown opponent, I think I'm going to shock with the Steam Vents. If we are playing against Burn, Spell's Guide's going to mitigate some of what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
But we really need the second red source.
So we want to see land and... We're going to draw... No, well.
We don't need... I feel like, yeah, with the Remands and the Cryptic Commands, we're going to be tearing through our deck pretty quickly. I kind of want to top both of these. We can play untapped land next turn, Remand.
Yeah.
And then on turn 3, tapped Steam Vents, Remand again. And then, yeah, I think this works.
I like that. Yeah, we'll see.
It's a shame to not set up the combo, but I think the lands...
Well, you need the lands for the combo anyway.
Whoa. Please do not pass through your entire turn. Yeah, okay, figured it out. If this is like a Lava Spike, then I'm just playing the Spell's Guide instead.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're playing against, and if it is like an end of turn Lightning Bolt, Remand's not the worst anyway. We'd have to be paying life to redirect a Spell's Guide.
Yeah, so I think just Remand is good.
Yeah, it's most likely that this is some kind of Ataka burn.
It could be a Scapeshift deck.
That's true. Could be a number of things. I might be regretting the turn 1 shock. But as you can see, with the lands we're drawing, we've got Island and...
This looks like a bolt.
Ooh, it is tapped.
Oh, it's tapped.
So if it's an Eidolon of the Great Revel, he will be remanded. Wow,
that's a terrible hand for Burn. Not having a turn 1 play in Burn is just awful.
I mean, it's not confirmed that this is Burn.
I don't think it is.
You just think that this hand is completely uncapable.
I think if he has not played anything yet, it's terrible. Yeah, like you have
it could be like a Skullcrack or a Boris Charm. That wouldn't make it.
Like you want to have a Goblin Guide or something. Like, or you mean you've got. Yeah, no, I think that's terrible. There's like 21 mana spells in there.
Yeah, we should point out that Cliff does play Burn.
Yeah,
he's that guy. If this is a 3 mana spell, I'm in for it. Yeah. So this is like a Blacklist Jund.
It could be that Through the Breach deck.
I don't think it plays Corsair.
Doesn't it?
No, that's more of like a Pedal to the Metal combo deck, is my understanding. We can Spellskite and Remand.
Yep, I like that.
Or we can Click or Cryptic. We have a lot of options with this current hand. We can also Snapcast Remand. I feel like we just wait. There's no point in playing a sorcery speed here when we've got
so you just play a land of
a bevy of options. Yeah.
Land go.
Or we can play the Spellskite now, assuming his best play on next turn is Corsair anyway.
Sure.
In which case we'd want to Remand it regardless, and then we get the Spellskite out of our hand when we know Remand will be useful next turn.
Sure. Okay.
You're very agreeable.
Yeah. Whatever. You're the one who plays this deck more than me.
Well, just looking at our hands...
And given that we still kind of know what an opponent's on, like maybe Scapeshift, the Corsair could be in Scapeshift.
If Corsair was his best play last turn, I mean, playing land first means he either doesn't know how to play Corsair or he's got a 4 mana spell, which also is bad against Remand. Just doesn't know how to play Corsair. Alright. Or maybe he is playing too much Standard and he's playing around Silumgar's Scorn. I think we cracked it. Pestamite here would be great. No. Alright, well, we're playing my favourite game in Magic. Send a message, of course. We're playing my favorite game in Magic, which is guess how many Remands I can play in any game. Alright, well, if he doesn't do anything, we've got Click, which is a pretty good backup plan.
Yeah. You could bounce a land.
We also have Desolate Lighthouse. If this is turning into like a controlling game, yeah, this is just Snapcast Remand. This is turning into a more control game where he's feebly trying to push these 3 mana 2-powered threats out.
These 3 mana enchantments.
Hey, Karanos did very well for his last game, and he's a 5 mana enchantment. Yeah, what I was trying to say is if this does turn into a game where we're just being a very controlling route, we can use Desolate Lighthouse to just mill away these Splinter Twins and do pretty well that way. But this could also be it is the Through the Breach deck.
Called it. So we could.
This is some nonsense right here.
So what just happened?
Well, we remanded the Corsair,
Yeah.
which technically counters the spell, and then he was able to Summoning Trap for 0.
So now he's resolving Primeval Titan abilities.
That's right. Even if he had like Emrakul, we can Cryptic Bounce. It's only got protection from spells. Right? Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So.
So if Primeval Titan attacks, he can search up 2 more mountains, and that is enough to Valakut us. Because he'd be on 8 lands with double Valakut.
So you're gonna want to tap it down with Cryptic Command. Wow, this went from looking really good to really terrible very quickly.
We can redirect the Valakut triggers to Spell's Guide.
Twice.
Which isn't the worst. But we're still copying 6 from the Primeval Titan. We could bounce the Titan and then try and counter it on the way back down, but that's just feeding into more summoning traps. So yeah, we could be trying to race him, but that seems kind of hard when he's like attacking for 12 every turn.
Yeah.
We need a combo creature, of course, is what we're looking for. Which means we could Snapcaster Serum Visions to try and find that creature.
But even if we find it, don't we just die next turn?
No, because we can tap the Primeval Titan.
With how?
So if we Snapcaster Serum Visions, he attacks next turn and hits us for like 12. And then...
He's going to hit us for 6, plus how much from Valakut?
Oh, I guess we can... Yeah, okay. So let's Snapcaster Serum Visions. We can redirect both to the Spell's Guide. We basically need to win 2 turns from now.
How much damage do we take from this? I'm thinking of Scapeshift. How much damage are those Valakuts dealing?
He can search out 2 mountains.
Yeah.
It'll do 6 to us, which we can direct to the Spell's Guide because they'll go on the stack at the same time.
Right, okay.
If he plays further mountains, we'll take 3.
Okay, cool.
But basically, the short and long of it is that we need a combo quickly. Serum Visions.
Have we played land this turn?
Yep.
We have.
I don't think Serum Vision slows it down any. But... do we keep the Serum Visions on top? We're definitely not keeping Snapcaster.
No.
I think we can keep it on top.
Alright.
Alright. Your move, champ.
I told you it was summoning trap. Primeval.
I was having all the fun in the world juggling that Corsair. You had to go and ruin the fun. Change it to Spell's Guide. Do you want to put Spell's Guide in play, buddy?
Well, it's been fun. Alright, so that was pretty rough.
I feel like the combo's still the plan.
Yeah.
I feel like the remands get pretty bad.
Because they're counterspells?
Yeah. Do we really want to turn on the Summoning Trap so easily?
Potentially not. Vidalcan Shackles could be kind of interesting.
Vidalcan Shackles takes a little while to get up. Like, good luck Vidalcan Shackles-ing an Emrakul. And it takes 6 islands to Vidalcan Shackle a Primeval type.
That's why. Yeah, okay, that doesn't work. So you potentially want to take out all your counter magic there?
Remand seems good against the Summoning Trap. Maybe we keep it this way. We just get more careful about creatures that we counter. That being said, I don't think the bolts are good. I think we bring in these against the... Dispel's good because the Summoning Trap is an instant, and the Through the Breach is an instant. I don't think the Ancient Grudges are good. Blood Moon does nothing against the primarily red deck.
It turns off the Valakut stuff, I guess.
That's true. It is good against Valakut. So maybe we cut and electrolyze when we play the Blood Moons.
So yeah, your Jaces are bad, your Flame Flashers are bad, your Keranos and your Dog Chuckles you don't want.
Yeah, we're still trying to go hard. So this is a case where you're not siding out the combo, but you can see that the sideboard pieces like Blood Moon against a deck that cares about non-basics, and how the Negate and the Dispel can still come in even if you are sticking with the combo plan. So it's not like the sideboard plan of going to control supports only going into control.
And Cryptics you like for tapping down stuff?
Yeah, Cryptic's pretty good.
Yeah.
Cryptic trumps Emrakul.
Yeah.
Kind of. Like I said, you can bounce Emrakul. It only has protection from spells.
I feel like
you can definitely bounce an Emrakul, dude. I've played Venser in Legacy.
I feel like you don't know what you're talking about.
This hand seems fine.
Does it? It's got no.
This hand's unbeatable.
That hand seems bad. That hand seems very bad. I would definitely mulligan that.
You swayed me. This hand is the same hand.
It's got it's, instead of having Snapcaster with nothing to flash back, it's got Blood Moon.
Yeah, I'm gonna lull my opponents into a false sense of security with my Steam Vents.
I don't think your opponent cares.
I thought we decided he does care.
If you really want to lull him to a first false sense of security, you could shock with your Steam Vents. That really gets out his head.
Send a message.
So you get another Steam Vents here.
This is a fetch land that's bad for us. Because you can fetch basic mountain.
You mean basic forest?
Yeah, that was my point. The deck doesn't play white, as far as I'm aware. And did I just fetch a mountain?
Yeah, that was dumb. Well, actually, it doesn't really matter, because it's going to be a mountain anyway.
But I want
No. I think you want to hold Remand.
Remand is creature.
The thing is, like, the Blood Moon's bad if he doesn't fetch, because you want to get him. And if he just gets a basic forest here anyway, it's all academic. But
He can't. It's an Arid Mesa.
oh yeah, that's true. So now you want to maybe click?
We'll see what he plays. Man, if we draw Cryptic later in this game, I'm going to feel mighty silly.
You should feel mighty silly. And now we know, now it's a lot better.
Boil? Playing around the boil.
Thank God you got that mountain.
Let's get this boil out of here, right? I don't want to play around this. It's instant speed. We can never tab out.
Get rid of that.
Emrakul, Oracle of Moldea. Alright. Oh, we can still cast it.
Yeah. It's your plan all along, right?
We can put him off the Oracle of Moldea.
Oh, by Blood Mooning?
Yeah, but I feel like we can't live in fear of Summoning Trap, especially after we've seen his hand.
I think you Blood Moon here, because he can't play anything.
Yeah, but if we Cryptic the Oracle of Moldea, we've blanked his draw anyway, and we're trying to find the combo.
Sure.
Why do we want a Blood Moon when he has basic mountain, dude?
You're an idiot.
I'm not afraid of no Summoning Trap.
Yeah,
I've seen your mind.
Please don't have drawn Summoning Trap. Please don't have drawn it. Here we go. This looks good.
Perfect. So we can Pestimite, untap our own thing, and Remand.
Yeah.
Or we can Serum Visions. But
No,
I don't see
there's no
why
way.
we need a Serum Visions when we've got this.
Yeah, so you just attack with Click.
Man.
But I mean,
Keep
again,
staring at this stupid mountain that I accidentally clicked on. Which is actually perfect here. Of course, I meant to get...
would have been just as good.
I meant to get the mountain all along. Farseek.
Yeah, you don't care, do you?
Well, we could Pestimite Remand it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe draw into Dispel.
I mean, it's only bad if he's got like a bolt. If he drew a bolt as well, and he can kill. But then he can do that anyway.
Wow. Maybe I shouldn't drink while I'm playing Magic Online.
Why?
Because now I'm trying to tap my Steam Vents.
So wait, what are you untapping?
What I meant to do was untap this. For some reason, I clicked on the Steam Vents.
So what did you do?
I did nothing with the tap ability of the Pestimite.
Good God. Oh, if he plays something crazy with this 3-minute spell.
He can't play anything, and we're winning the game on the spot as soon as we untap. Obviously. You've never played Splinter Twin. You don't seem so confident.
Yep, there we go.
Good God.
Game. So despite some really subpar play from the pilot over here, we got there.
Electrolyze. Kills Oracle of Muldair.
Sure.
Is there anything else we're interested in?
Well, I mean,
Vidalcan Shackles. Vidalcan Shackles is pretty good at stealing Corsair and Oracle.
I don't know. I feel like he's just going for the combo. Like, I don't.
Yeah, but what is Electrolyze doing? It's like cycles.
Cycles, yeah. Might be better.
I want all the counter spells. Like, literally all the counter spells. I want the Snapcasters for those counter spells. And I want all of the combo. And I want Spell Skite because I think it's pretty likely he's playing Bolts. You want the Serum Visions to set up the combo. And then the best we've come up with is Blood Moon to deal with Valakut plan. We have one slot left.
I think Jace is like, well, okay. Let's
Jace
kind
is a little slow.
Jace is not in the combo plan. Neither is Keranos. Vidalcan Shackles is too slow.
I mean, it's good against the 2-power green creatures we've seen. I don't think Ancient Grudge has any targets. It could be a Bolt.
I guess. I like Electrolyzer Cycles.
Yeah, alright. Alright, we'll just run it back then. I think this is what we had for game 2.
He didn't see the Blood Moons either, so they're still like on the draw. If he'd already seen the Blood Moons, you'd probably side him out. Because
This is my favorite sequence, is Remand into Blood Moon.
Yeah.
Because you're whatever play they could maybe make off their non-basics, they are, it's put back in their hand. It's way better on the play, unfortunately.
Sure.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Polluted Delta.
Yeah, we just want basic islands.
So the breeding pool is in there solely for flashback on Ancient Grudge, is that correct?
That is the only reason for its being.
So it's
And the fact that he's going to be able to get a basic forest is not the worst here because Blood Moon is still mostly there for the Valakut. So do we want... we still need a red source to even cast any of the red cards in a hand.
You're definitely getting a
Steam Vents?
Steam Vents.
Yeah.
Now what's that? Now he's going to have a lot of mana. He's going to have 5 mana next turn. Assuming he has land in his hand.
We've got Remand. We're unbeatable.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is what the really scary spells in his deck are Summoner's Trap, which costs 6, and Through the Breach, which costs 5.
Yep.
So we were definitely holding up that Remand.
But it's also like if he plays a creature, it's a little rough to be umming and ahhing about, do I remand this when he can just be like, alright, cool, Summoning Trap.
I mean, I think if he plays a creature, you don't care. Like, you're just trying to go for the combo, and being beaten down by Oracle of Muldair is not really, like, you don't have to worry about that.
Sure.
So, presumably he plays a land here, unless he doesn't have one, which would be nice.
It's turn 3, he's played 2 ramp spells, so yeah.
Okay.
Alright, well, we can't fetch, because then he can just remand. I mean, he can play around the remand if we fetch.
Secure trap out there.
Ah, prime remand target there.
Oh, you didn't.
No, because if we fetch, then we go into 1 land, he can play... Oh, I guess he played the Secure Tribuilder.
Yeah.
So, Blood Moon doesn't seem the best here.
No, because he just Blood Moons and then you... No, you want to hold up Counterspell. Counter spells, because you really want to be countering Through the Breaches. Summoner's Traps.
Yeah.
I mean, he can just hardcast Summoner's Trap next turn.
Oh, Sakura Tribe beats.
Ooh.
He's a boss. And he's not afraid of anything.
You really trailed off there a little bit.
I was trying to remember, like, early 2000 memes. You don't afraid of anything, I believe, is the correct usage there. Oh, let's fetch down.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
He don't afraid of anything.
Right. So we really want to draw a Deceiver Exarch right now.
Deceiver Exarch is the best draw on the deck right now. Particularly with Dispel backup. Which spell? Which spell?
I think you want to pass down.
I have. It is now his main phase.
Yeah, I know what's going on.
We're getting attacked by Screwtrap Boulder.
What a humiliating way to lose.
Give it 16 more turns. I'm not convinced we're losing yet. We might as well get. It's very it's certainly on the table that we play Blood Moon.
You get an island because that way you can pay your Cryptic Command with the island in your hand. The Cryptic Command that you don't have, but you know what I mean.
I kind of know what you mean. What do we got here? Nothing. No fetch. No Secure Tribuilder. Continues to beat down.
At what point can he like cast terrifying things? Like he can cast Primeval Titans, I guess.
He can cast Primeval Titan this turn, even after he's already Farseeked. He's got 2 cards in his hand. I really want Click. Click would also be a really nice draw here.
It'd be really unfortunate if you Primeval Titan it, plays it, and then you counter it, and then he summons traps.
Well, that's why we have Dispel. Yeah. Jeez. Alright. No fetches. I guess fetches are pretty good with Valakut.
This is the other thing to keep in mind as well when you're playing against someone on Twin, is that you can have a hand that looks like ours, and you're constantly playing around the combo, and they just don't have it.
Yeah, it's very easy to look intimidating online because you can't look like a ballless fool.
Sure. So as someone who plays, I'm really just asking.
Bam.
Oh, here we go.
All right, so now we can play the Blood Moon.
Any point? I think he's going to leave up counter spells.
He's got 3 cards in his hand. He hasn't missed a land drop. I don't think they're very exciting. So you want to just go hard for the combo, keeping up our counter spells?
Yeah, I think so. Because at this point, even if he then like gets it, yeah, no, I think that's definitely what we want to do. So yeah, what I want to ask for everyone out there who is probably going to be forced to play against some idiot playing a Twin deck at some point, would you recommend just going for it? Like, if because sometimes
I mean in this spot right now.
No, what I mean is.
But right now we are going for it.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. Right now we're definitely going for it. I'll ask my question once we've crushed out.
Once we've sealed this game in the next 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Do you want me to untap his Sakura Tribuilder?
Yeah, sure. Tap his Arid Mesa.
There are no good options.
I guess you untap a land in case like you have to remand.
But the problem is untapping land. He can just do it in response to the trigger. We don't get to use any of it.
I think we're thinking too much. I don't really think it matters. Tap his Arid Mesa.
Send a message. Make him get that basic planes out of his deck right now. We also have Dispel, Snapcaster Dispel, which I'm very happy about.
You were thinking way too hard. Just pick something.
Look, it's on the stack.
Yeah.
It's resolving. Yeah, Arid Mesa, eat it. I mean, there's no good option here.
Yeah.
Yes!
How does it feel, Jay Rayno?
Yeah, we can still have Snapcaster, Dispel, Snapcaster, Dispel, which is pretty good. Pretty good. He hasn't missed a land drop. I reckon he's completely flooded, and he has tops 1 spell.
Here we go. He's doing something.
Summoning Trap's bad because he can Valakut like double bolts.
But we can just dispel.
So we want to dispel this. Like he could find Valakut Mountain bolts. I'm not even sure if that's good enough, but certainly dispel is better.
Yeah.
So what was the question you wanted to ask?
So the question I want to ask is, if I'm playing against someone who I know is on Twin, and they're at that like crucial, like they have mana untapped, they could have the combo, but I don't know. I haven't seen the hand.
But you know it's Twin, or you suspect.
I know it's Twin. Do you reckon I should just play my Lingering Souls on turn 3 or do something, or should I play around the combo? If I have a removal spell, should I pretend I have a removal spell if I don't have a removal spell? Like, at what percentage do you reckon the Twin player has it? Is it because oftentimes, as a person against Twin, you're forced to make all these suboptimal plays out of fear of the combo, and your opponent's sitting there with like 4 lands and a like a spell sky, and they're just cackling maniacally.
Well, the problem is, you can get a huge mana advantage on people who do that. I have played against people who are mana screwed, and they've got 2 or 3 mana, and they're just electing not to play anything. Could even be discarding to hand size because they're so fearful of the combo. What you can do in that case is just flash in your creatures, tap their land, force them to use the removal 1/1, and not get value out of 2-for-1ing with your Splinter Twins. The other thing you can do is just like play your bolts, play your electrolyze, play your even cryptic commands against mana. People who are like, go to discard, and you go, actually bounce your land.
Yeah.
Feel free to discard twice. It does happen where people just sit there, they feel paralyzed because they want to leave up removal.
Yeah.
I think that's a luxury afforded to people who have plenty of mana, who can make plays that progress the game and leave up removal. But if you're sitting there with 3 mana and you're like, I have Path to Exile and I have Lingering Souls, pass the turn. You're not progressing the game, especially if you're not making your land drops, while the twin player could be activating Lighthouse or playing all sorts of spells, and you're just falling way behind on total mana spent in the game. So I think it's certainly dependent on your hand, but because that's such a generic answer, I want to be a little more specific. I would say if you have enough mana that you can make plays to progress the game and keep up removal, there's no reason to get greedy and progress quickly and put down that removal, because the twin player is waiting for that chance. But if you're sitting there and you don't have that luxury, you kind of just have to imagine they don't have it, because a lot of matchups you're just losing that game anyway.
Yeah, because you still need to that's the thing. And again, we've spoken about the twin deck being able to attack on these 2 axes. The problem is if you don't play your Lingering Souls at some point, if you don't play your whatever threat, eventually they're just going to Snapcaster bolt you. So you do need to be beating them. It's not like you can afford sit there with removal up forever. At some point, you need to actually be trying to win the game yourself. That's
true, yeah. And so much of the twin deck is played at instant speed that if you are just sitting there and they're making land drops and you're not, that's the main situation where I feel like people make mistakes about leaving up removals when they're short on mana. If you have plenty of mana to spare, there's no reason you shouldn't keep your Abrupt Decay up, or something similar. So yeah, I'd say the general piece of advice is, if you're stranded with not much mana and you have to make a tough decision, play as if they don't have the combo and just try and be as aggressive as possible, because you're giving the twin player time if you don't.
Sure. All right, follow-up question.
All right.
Do you now, as the twin player, how much do you play around an untapped Plains for Path to Exile or untapped Abrupt Decay mana? Are you like, they probably don't have it? Because there have definitely been times playing against someone on twin where I'm just like, I've got just lands in hand, I'm bluffing my removal spells, oh yeah, go on dude, go for it.
Well, that's why Twin's such a sweet deck. It is one of the better combo decks in Modern right now, and especially with this kind of sideboard plan, then it's very flexible, it's very powerful, but something that makes it just good to play and it doesn't get old is that there's a lot of bluffing. There's a lot of just old school, look, do you have it, or am I dead here, or tough decisions and trying to think about those percentages. What I do when I am in my opponent's end step and I'm staring and I'm like, okay, I'm just thinking before I untap or before I draw my card or whatever it is, and you're sitting in your opponent's end step, step number 1 for me is thinking, can I just win without any fear? And if I go that, it's like, great, okay, that's my first thought. If I can engineer a situation where I go for the combo and I keep up a Dispel at all times,
or you have the Spell's Guide or something.
Yeah, exactly. There are situations where you can be pretty confident that you have a line where you can just go for it. The next step down is where I'm thinking about, my opponent has removal. They're playing in a way that has removal. Can I get my creature to trade for their removal 1-for-1? That's what I'm looking for, is you've left a single Plains up. That's pretty conspicuous. I'm going to play my Pestamite and tap your Plains, and you're like, I guess I have to path it in response or I'm just dead.
Yeah.
And that way, you do have more creatures, 6 in total, than you do the Splinter Twins. And so the creatures are a little more disposable. You can try and get them to trade 1-for-1.
As opposed to taking the creature in response to your Splinter Twin and then you lose 2 cards.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they don't do that, if you...
Say your opponent has double Plains, and you're like, tap your 1 Plains, and they're like, cool, it's tapped. And you go untap, and you've got Splinter Twin in your hand, you're like, Splinter Twin my guy? And they're like, yeah, path it. So generally that's a pretty bad spot to avoid. The times where I would go for that are the times where either I'm like, look, I'm dead if I don't have the combo. This comes up against Burn and Destructive Revelry. They've kept up red-green, and you're thinking they could very well have Destructive Revelry here. I'll play my guy, I'll put a twin on it, They go to Destructive Revelry the Twin. As soon as you tap it, and you're like, well, I'm just dead here because now I don't have a blocker, I don't have a twin, I don't have a creature that's not a token. I'm just super dead. But in that kind of situation, you have to go for it because you're dead.
To all the
either
other
way.
burn spells in their hand.
Exactly. So I think you have to walk into removal and just ask, look, do you have it? If you're going to be dead. The other time you can do that pretty fiercely is if the game's going to progress like normal if you don't. Like if you think you're somewhat at parity, maybe you've got a Desolate Lighthouse out, maybe you've got 2 twins and 2 creatures in your hand, and you're like, look, the game's not going to be over soon. I'm not crushing my opponent. I'm not falling behind a lot. I can just kind of test the waters here and see, like, I'm going to draw something out, or I'm going to just see if this works because I know that the game's going to keep going. If you feel like I lose if I make this play, maybe you're really low on resources, your opponent's low on resources, and it's coming down to a top deck war, but you know they have removal, you might want to just like wait and wait until you get a Desolate Lighthouse and loot these pieces away, or even just the Splinter Twins. So it is really a judgment call. It's tough to say without, it's tough to tell someone who hasn't played the matchup a lot, but yeah, there are a few corner cases where you just have to jam it with no fear, and know that it's the correct decision, even if you think they might have removal. And those are the scariest times, but the biggest time you have to do that is just if you're dead, if you don't do it.
And even then, like, it often just works out for you.
Yeah, it is surprising how many times you're like, I've got nothing better to do than just cross my fingers and walk into what's obviously an Abrupt Decay, and they're like, cool, you win.
Yeah, because that's the thing, it's like there's so much bluffing going on in this in decks in a Splinter Twin game that, like, yeah, like a lot of times one or both of you doesn't have it. I'm sure there are many hilarious games
where there's like
the Jund player sits there bluffing their Abrupt Decay they don't have, and the Splinter Twins like bluffing the Deceiver Exarch they don't have, and just nothing's happening.
It does get into some really high level stuff, and it is really fun to play, and that's when you're picking up a deck and you know that you've got all the pieces to it, and you know it's viable in the format, and there's plenty of time to learn it. And you know you're going to be grinding with this deck a whole bunch and learning how it works. It's good to know that those games are going to be really interesting along the way. If you're like just trying to say, how can I see the most cards with this Storm hand? That gets old pretty quickly. There's not a lot of interaction with your opponent. But when you're thinking about like the cases where you go for it or where you don't go for it, or also in sideboarding, like when we were playing against the tokens deck, it's a question whether you side out some or all of the combo, and a lot of it is kind of a gut feeling, maybe what you've seen from your opponent, and you need to make those decisions, and a lot of it's based on experience. All right, well, thank you for joining us for these matches. I hope it's been a little enlightening to see one of the pillars of the format. This is my favorite version of it. There are a lot more out there. Feel free to let us know what you want. All right, catch you around.